Welcome to a Slice of Sound podcast, where I interview some of our favourite producers and musicians. Today I'm joined by Finnish producer and rapper Misha. My first memory of hearing his production was around 5 years ago with his track Feel. Since then I've been steadily following his growth all the way to his first solo album release, Nocturnal, in 2022. His work rate is absolutely unrivaled and has led to some incredible collaborations along the way, including working with the likes of Cali Technis, Odyssey, Evil Needle, and so many more. First of all, thanks so much for joining me on the show. It's an honor to have you on. How's everything going with you?
Thanks, man. Nice to be here. Finally talking with you live. We've been discussing on Instagram earlier. Yeah, man, I'm doing great. Just got back to my usual grind. We actually had our first baby with my wife like a bit over a year ago.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a journey already with the kid, and it took some time. I took some time away from music for a couple of months just to be around and kind of get used to the new life. But yeah, now I got back to making music again. So
Nice.
It's been nice. Been working on many new songs and projects, and at the same time hanging with the kiddo. So life's been good.
I can imagine that's quite a big change then, having some another person taking a lot of your time. Must be hard to balance everything.
Oh yeah, man. No more late night sessions for me. So
For sure.
yeah, it kind of changed the way I work, because I used to make most of my beats during evening or nighttime, and now I just started respecting my sleep a lot more than I used to before the baby. But I guess that's the same thing with anyone who get babies.
Sure. Yeah. No, yeah. Congratulations for that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's amazing. So in this first part of the interview, I wanted to kind of take it back to the beginning and like learn about how you got into music, some of your influences and things like that. So with that being said, I know you're from Finland. What is the scene like there, and what sort of music can you kind of remember hearing when you were growing up?
Well, I think before I started from hip hop rap, so some of my listeners might know that I started as a rapper in the beginning of 2000. And before I went to rap, we had like 1 year of experimenting with a metal band, because metal music was huge in Finland at that time. And I guess Finnish music scene is more known from like a heavy metal scene than R&B or rap scene. But nowadays, like rap and hip hop is the biggest popular music scene in Finland. But at that time, when I started listening and making music more actively when I was a teenager, yeah, I mean, they call it like the first, is it correct to say in English, like boom? Like the first time the genre really ramps up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the time in the beginning of 2000. So I was listening to rap music, and they started making more and more Finnish rap music. But still, many Finnish rappers thought that they should rap in English. So it was kind of like an interesting era of artists switching up from English to Finnish rap. And yeah, at the same time, I started rapping first in English, and then I switched to Finnish. So I was kind of listening to rap, metal music, and then went more into disco, funk, soul type of stuff. Music like that, I would say.
Nice. And was that like your first introduction to music then? Were you rapping before you started producing yourself?
Yeah, I mean, with music, I had the background that I was playing piano, like classical piano, but I quit that totally like as a teenager. So rap was the first genre I really fell in love with, and I did write rap almost 6 to 7 years before I even start making beats. But that was mostly because I didn't have any proper equipment to make beats. Like we didn't even have a computer at my home. So the first music program I used was actually I guess many producers of my age remembers Music 2000 from PlayStation 1. So that was my first experience with
Classic.
making music. But after that, it took a long time till I got like first PC and then finally started making beats on Reason. But yeah,
Sure.
I did write for many years before I even started producing.
And what was it that like made you want to take that jump from rapping to producing yourself? Was it just getting the computer and being able to do that?
Yeah, I guess I was interested in producing all the time. I just didn't have the equipment and knowledge. And
Sure.
yeah, at that time, I think it was 2007, I moved to another city and I met with Monoma. Many Chill Hop listeners might know him, and Satellite. We had like a rap group together, and they were producing at that time. So they kind of taught me how to use Reason 4. I think that was the version at that time. So I got really inspired by those guys, how they were making beats. And I think the switch up started like slowly at that time. But it took more than 10 years for me to actually like release my first official Misha release, because I was so concentrated on the rap project I had at that time. So I started producing in 2008, I would say, and then slowly it started switching up more and more from rapping to producing. But I still like do rap, but it's less and less.
Sure. And I was reading some other interviews that you've done actually before this, and you mentioned that you kind of got your musical education from MTV. What sort of artists were inspiring you, and what programs were you watching on MTV?
I think it was mostly MTV Yo Raps.
Okay.
I used to record it on VHS videotape recorder because it was aired during nighttime in Finland,
Sure.
and I was already sleeping and getting ready for my next school day. But yeah, so MTV Yo Raps was like the most important program that was teaching
Sure.
me about the music that I wanted to listen to. So I mean, there's such a huge list of different names I could say, but probably like from rappers, I would say like the East Coast section, like Gangstar,
Sure.
Nas, guys like that, and also the same from the like producer side, Ninth Wonder,
Sure.
Pete Rock, DJ Premier, but also like guys like J Dilla and DJ Battlecat a bit later on. But like
Right.
the very first thing for me was East Coast rap before I got to know West Coast, and also like South Side, like Houston rap.
Yeah.
So yeah, the East Coast was my thing to start with, but then I kind of got to familiar with like Bay Area rap and all different kinds of like subgenres.
Right. And you said when you started rapping, you were rapping in English, right?
Yeah, like the
How come you then chose to switch up to Finnish? Is it kind of the norm in Finland for people just to be rapping in English, or is there a split?
Yeah, I think it was mostly because we got the inspiration from US rap, and we didn't have that
Sure.
much of quality Finnish rap at that time. So some people thought that it's not possible to write proper rap in Finnish, and well, it's actually way easier to come up with rhymes in English than in Finnish, because in
Okay.
English you almost have like 10 times more words than in Finnish, and Finnish words are longer, so it's harder to make them rhyme. So there's actually some
Sure.
point in it, but yeah, of course, I think that was just an excuse not try to develop the language more into rap.
Sure. That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize there was so many more English words.
Yeah, and you have like short words, one vowel, and it's
Sure.
like, yeah, it's actually easier to rhyme in English. I feel like it, even though English is far from my native language.
I mean, it sounds pretty damn good to me.
Okay, thanks, man.
Yeah, so kind of jumping forward quite a few years then, I guess. You've now been working with Chill Hop for quite a long time, putting out a lot of instrumental stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about how that relationship came about?
With Chill Hop.
Yeah.
Let me think. It was 2018 when Chill Hop released my first like Misha release, which was the song you mentioned, Feel. So the connection was through actually my friend and colleague Manama. He had some releases already on Chill Hop, and I think he introduced me to Chill Hop A&R, and it went from there. So yeah, it was 2018, and Manama introduced me to Chill Hop at that time.
Sure. And then what made you want to then make the jump from like instrumental stuff to then working with other artists and collaborating with like vocalists and other rappers and things?
That's a good question. I mean, I've always been a fan of instrumental music as well and beats, but for me, coming from songwriter background as a rapper, I was also loving the vocals, and I guess I took it as a challenge because I find it takes more time to finish a song with vocals. Like you need to record the vocals, first write the lyrics, of course, but then like do the editing, and also I love to mix vocals as well. So for me, I find it a bit more challenging to not only to make the beat, but also, edit and mix the vocals. So I guess it's about a challenge, but I guess I listen more to music with vocals nowadays than beats. That doesn't mean I don't love instrumental music, but that's just the type of music that I like to listen to right now and also make myself.
That makes total sense. And do you think that it kind of helped you coming from the background of rapping first to then be able to work with other artists and like craft instrumentals that would work better with vocalists?
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably has some effect because I always think like, would somebody be able to rap on this beat? Is the BPM, if I make a beat for a rapper, being a rapper myself and been rapping on like whole different BPMs, I kind of have like some understanding. Is it fit for rapping or no? Of course, like different rappers have different styles and abilities, but I think it has some advantage to it just to kind of understand, this I could rap on this or I could not rap on this. So it probably helps. But that being said, I've been working actually more with like singers lately. And that's a new thing for me because I've never been a singer myself. So it's a bit different.
Sure. Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. Yeah. What I wanted to do now is kind of move a little bit more into the technical side of production and like maybe talk a little bit about your setup first. What are you using to make music? Is it all in the box or do you have like a lot of outboard gear at all?
Yeah, I make most of inside my DAW. I do have like a couple of synthesizers like a Yamaha DX7 and then my secret weapon that I actually haven't been using for years because it doesn't work, but I have the Soviet synthesizer Polyvox, which I use for some like synth bass and lead sounds, but now I just need to get it fixed. But yeah, it's mostly plugins and working inside the DAW.
Sure.
But whenever I have the chance, like I like to use some outside like analog synthesizers. My friends have like, 106 and Moog Voyager, and like whenever I have the chance to use Moog for synth bass, I take that chance. But I only have like Yamaha DX7 and Polyvox at the moment.
Sure. And are you what DAW are you using?
Now I use Ableton. Been using that for quite a long time. Even though I started with Reason 4, but then I switched to Ableton. It took actually some time to learn Ableton. My friend Manama, who also switched from Reason to Ableton, he said that, it's a very fast switch up. And for me, it definitely wasn't. It took 2 years to get on the same level than I was with Reason. But ever since that, I decided that I'm not going to switch up to any other DAW. It took so long.
Sure.
So I'm sticking to Ableton.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I'm on Logic, and I've tried switching to Ableton a few times, but when you can't, when you can, there's something you can do really quickly in the one unit that you know. It's easy to just switch back, and I don't have the patience.
Exactly, and
learn it all.
Logic is a great DAW. I used Logic for a while actually for vocal recording.
Yeah, it's definitely good for that. And inside of Ableton, have you got any like plugins that you like to use for a lot of on a lot of your tracks? What are your favorite plugins to go to, either synths or effects or anything like that?
With synths, I would say lately I've been using a lot to this plugin called Diva, Poly 6 by Korg, Omnisphere, and Keyscape. Yeah, Omnisphere, I was supposed to get it like years ago, but it was just so expensive. But now I finally bought it with my friend Jussi Halme. And it's been great. Like, I've been probably using Omnisphere a lot lately. It's just like such a huge amount of good presets to start with. And I think if I bought it years ago, I wouldn't even need any other synthesizer plugin, to be honest.
Yeah.
So that's the one. And from the effects, I would say RC20 that many lo-fi producers love. And actually Finnish plugin called Soothe. It's like a dynamic EQ compressor, perfect for getting away of annoying frequencies. You can also use it as a de-esser sort of plugin. Then I just use a lot of Ableton built-in effects, like even their EQ8 and compressor and chorus and auto pan effects. So I use a lot of Ableton built-in effects, but for some things like dynamic EQ or compressor, I tend to use third-party plugins. And probably FabFilter I would mention as the last one. I love to use FabFilter Limiter L2 on my mastering chain. So those would probably be the plugins that I use the most.
Right. Yeah, I didn't realize Soothe was a Finnish plugin. So much talent coming out of Finland.
I hope I'm not mistaken, but I think it's a Finnish plugin.
Right, nice. And then kind of going into how you make a track, how would you normally start a track? Would it be drums, melody, a sample, or is it something else?
It's probably, for me, it's usually the chord progression, because I think like my biggest strength as a producer is chords, but then my biggest weakness is drums. It just takes so much time for me to come up with proper drums. When I see my friends using like 5 to 10 minutes and they have banger drums, and for me it takes an hour to get there. So many times I start with chords. Back in the day, I used to sample a lot. I do have like a sampling background, but then I kind of try to get rid of that just because of like the clearing issues. And if you want your music to be synced to like documentaries or advertisements, all that stuff, like I just try to get rid of sampling and play the chords by myself. But that being said, sometimes I love taking challenges, like starting from vocal chops or even just a bass line or drums and then switching to chords, because I know if I'm able to come up with good drums, it's all like already like halfway there for me, because I know for me it's easy to come up with good chords, but like drums is such a challenge to me.
Sure. Yeah, no, I hear that for sure. And one of my favorite tracks of yours, I think, is Slippin' featuring Odyssey, Cockabonna and Deborah Bond. Could you talk a little bit about how that collaboration came together?
We have made like a lot of collabs with Cockabonna, and that was like one of our collaboration beats.
Sure.
I think I did the drums on that one, and Cockabonna did the bass, and chords I think we figure out together. He probably had more input in the chords as well. Yeah, that was like one of our collabs with Cockabonna, and then I thought it needs a vocalist, and Odyssey has been like one of my favorite rapper producers for a long time, and it was kind of one of my dreams to one day to make a song with him, and I was just happy to have that connection
Sure.
with him and be able to meet him in New York and just
Nice.
play that beat to him at his studio. And I mean, I played a couple of beats and he liked that one specifically, and then we decided, okay, let's collaborate on this one, and then it kind of went from there. Odyssey first writing his verses, and then me like trying to find a singer for the hook part.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a great track. I love it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, like you said you collaborate with Cockabonner quite a lot, and also you frequently collaborate with, I don't want to say his name wrong, Jussi Halme.
Yeah, you pronounced it right. Good job.
And I was researching before, so I didn't get that wrong. And then obviously Monma and Satellite. How helpful is it to have like other talented musicians around? And how did you guys like come together? How did you connect in the first place?
With Monma, we met already like in 2008 because we made rap together, and he taught me how to make beats. So we've been collaborating ever since that. With Jussi, I think we met in 2017 or 18. He had released a private pressing, like 7-inch pressing of his song called Funny Funk back in 1983, and it was sort of like collector's item Finnish DJs and also DJs outside of Finland. So I was a big fan of that track, and I was trying to find the 7-inch so hard from like different music stores, and I just couldn't find it. But then I think it was at my wedding that one local saxophone player came to me. He was playing in my wedding band actually, and he said that I should reach out to Jussi. And I was like, what? Why? Like, what? And he said, yeah, you guys should make some music together. And I was thinking maybe he's not interested. We have like some age difference, and yeah, he's an OG already. But I just hit his YouTube channel up and just left like a public comment under one of his posts that, hey, I have an idea. How can I reach out to you? And then I got his email address, and actually we became very close friends after making one track. It was actually Chill Hop release called Brazil. Me and Manma sampled one of Jussi's tracks, and that was like our first collaboration. And then we made like lots more. So Jussi is probably actually my biggest collaborator lately. We made a lot of songs with him. So I love collaborating a lot, but I have like kind of small circle of producers lately that I've been collaborating with. So Manma, Jussi Halme, Evil Needle, and then Satellite, who was also part of the same rap group. And also Cockabonner, as mentioned earlier.
Sure. Yeah, what story? For a YouTube comment.
Yeah, I mean, the Jussi story could take like an hour if I start explaining more in depth, but I just have to mention he's such an amazing person and musician. He's been making music since the 70s, and he's just still like, I appreciate how open his mind is for like new music. So he's not stuck in his old 70s, 80s music. He's always trying to learn from new songs that comes out. And actually, he was the one who introduced Silk Sonic to me, the group with Anderson .Paak and come on, what was the other guy named? Bruno Mars. He was the first guy who sent me the link to their first single. Have you heard this already? So he's like following all the time.
Yeah, no, that stuff's amazing. I love that music. Sticking with like collaborations, I know you've got your circle of people that you're collaborating with all the time, producers kind of, but with the vocalists and rappers and things, how are those collaborations coming together? How are you finding people to work with? How are you choosing those? And then are you doing a lot of sessions in person, or is it more collaborating online?
It's mostly like remote sessions, just because I live in Finland and most of the vocalists I work with are based in US or UK or Canada.
Sure.
And yeah, it's just the fact that we don't have many R&B musicians here in Finland, and not many artists are singing in English, and I just don't want to make music in Finnish anymore for a
Right.
while, because yeah, it's just such a small population of only 5 million people that are speaking the language. So I feel like, why not go international in a way? So most of my collaborations been remote. I've been traveling to New York and LA for some sessions. So yeah, I met some of those artists in person, but
Sure.
like I would say even 80% of the collaborations been remote, which been kind of interesting.
Sure.
But it's I think it's also an effective way to collaborate. So you just need to find artists that is able to write his or her own lyrics and record themselves, so they be able to do that job and send just the stems to me, and I take it from there. But
Sure.
I find them through Instagram and wherever, like mostly on Instagram. I I just hit their DMs and see who's down. That's how I
Yeah.
started, just hitting shitload of DMs.
Nice. Yeah. That's why I always say this to new artists who are like, how do I collaborate with people? Yeah, you just have to reach out. You never know who's out for working on stuff.
Exactly, and I think one thing that you may not pay attention to when you're like starting an upcoming producer, that you might reach out to very like big artists, and then you get frustrated that nobody gets back to you. And that's something I also learned, that when you try to put yourself in their shoes, you understand like how many beats, inquiries,
Yeah.
emails they get each every day. So it's no wonder that they don't get back to you. So my only tip for up and coming producers who want to collaborate with artists and try to reach out to them on internet, just like start with very like small and up and coming artists. They might get back to you. So don't go for Beyonce like right away.
Yeah.
I mean,
makes
might get
perfect
lucky,
sense.
but you never know.
Well, yeah, that's it. You never know who's watching. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, one thing I was thinking about when thinking of questions for this interview is, how do you decide which tracks you want to release as instrumentals and which ones you want to give to work with vocalists or rappers on? Is it a case of just sending stuff that you think would fit an artist, or are you specifically creating like stuff that's just going to be an instrumental release?
Well, many times I think it can fit for both occasions.
Sure.
I ideally, like that's something I've been thinking about lately, that I would like to release all the songs that I release with vocals also as instrumentals. So ideally, the same kind of composition could be used for two different purposes. But yeah, obviously, like instrumentals probably need more instrumentation, and for vocalists, you might need to leave more space so you don't like bury the beat with different like synth leads and guitar solos. So it's a bit different approach when you make a beat for vocalists. But maybe my production is not that good an example, because I have like a lot of tracks. I
Sure.
always think like I should remove half of the tracks before I send it to vocalists, but I just like to use a lot of layers.
Sure.
It's kind of part of my sound. But yeah, I think it's a different approach, and I always try to think when I approach an artist that is it a fit for them? Like how does their music sound? So I try to pick specific beats that I send to them, or even thinking about them when I make a new beat.
Sure. And yeah, so like the final question on collaboration. I recently saw you teasing a new single with Amber Navran from Moonchild. Can you tell us a little bit about how that's come about? Like, I'm a huge Moonchild fan, and yeah, she's incredible. Yeah, how did you guys hook up for that?
Well, yeah, I'm also a huge fan of Moonchild, to be honest. Amber and Moonchild being one of my also dreams to collaborate with someday. And it's funny, it's true, the same guy who introduced me with Odyssey, he also introduced me with Amber.
Oh, nice.
So I never met Amber in person. We're supposed to meet now that I'm traveling to LA this October. We're supposed to meet there, but yeah, it was also like a remote collaboration.
Nice.
And also the beat was made together with Jussi Halme, and there was actually also like a third producer involved, just assisting with drums, and I think he also added like strings on top of the hook, called Dylan Graham. He's a great R&B producer. Like, he's done a lot of, like, even I think he won a Grammy like last year for this song he produced for Money Long, Hours and Hours. And I've been just following his productions a lot. I think like he's one of the best R&B producers out there at the moment.
Sure.
And he did assisted with drums and added some strings on the track. So there's 3 producers, and Amber, who also she didn't only sing, but she also played some flute on top of the track.
Cool. Oh yeah, I'm excited.
So I'm just so excited to share the track. I don't know when this interview is coming out, so maybe it's around the same time as the song.
Yeah, I think it will be. Maybe just how long? When's the song out?
It will be out on September 29th.
Okay, so yeah, it'll probably be maybe a week before. But yeah,
okay.
Make sure we send people to listen to that for sure. And I saw you shooting visuals for that as well, right?
Yeah, we did a music video. We shot it on green screen. That was also a interesting process, because I was trying to figure out how we're going to shoot a music video with us being on, us living in Finland and she's in LA.
Sure.
I'm in California. And so I figure out, we don't have budget to fly her over to Finland or for us to fly over to Los Angeles just for the video shoot. So I thought, let's do a green screen video. That's like a way to go.
Nice.
And I think it turned out very great. It's directed by one British guy called Mitch Hall. He also did the video for me and Kaisha single called Imagination.
Oh yeah.
So it's the same guy who did my first music video.
Nice. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. Looking forward to hearing the song and the video for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you the link.
Sounds great. Just a couple more questions actually. I was recently with Coca at the Chill Hop Artist Retreat, and he's telling me you guys have got some dates coming up in LA. I don't know if you're allowed to speak about those at all, or is that something
we can speak about it, no problem.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask like what your kind of live setup's going to be like. What's the live show going to be like?
So we're going to perform on October 19th in LA called at the venue called Los Globos.
Okay.
So if anybody who lives in LA is listening to this interview, please come by. It's on October 19th. So it's a club called Payday LA. So it's like a local rap club, but they're going to run like an R&B edition during that night that I'm performing, and there will be some other bands and artists playing live at that same event. So my live setup will be me and Kokabona will be on the bass, and I will have like a lot of different vocalists featuring. So I saw it like a only opportunity for me to perform these songs live, because most of the artists are living either in LA or somewhere close by. So I'll have like Cali Technis coming through, and then Deborah Bond, who was also featuring on this track with Odyssey. She's flying over to LA, and also Adia. She used to go by the name NDO.
Yeah.
She'll be there as well, and also Be My Fiasco, and I'll have like 4 to 5 different singers featuring on the set.
Oh, that sounds incredible. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
So we'll see how it be, because it's my first time to perform with the singers. I done some producer gigs back in the day. Okay. They were more like a DJ type of sets. I mean, me by myself and maybe some visuals. But now I have like singers and bass player, and I also be playing keys
Right.
as much as I'm able to. I'm not like a Chick Corea or any real jazz pianist, but I'll be playing some.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Hopefully, after that, we can get the Misha World Tour. We need those UK
Well,
dates.
we'll see. We'll see about that. I would love to visit UK and like do a live show and some sessions there. It's been on my bucket list for a long time
Sure.
too. I've been in London, but I never traveled to UK for like music sessions.
Right.
That would be so dope.
Yeah, I'll have to hook you up with some people. And yeah, when you're here, we'll have to get in the studio and make some stuff for sure.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Yeah. One final question, actually, I always like to ask people or producers is if you could executive produce an album for just one artist in the world, who would you choose and why? Tough one.
I think probably Kendrick Lamar.
Great choice.
That would be my choice. And reason why is I think because he reinvented rap music. Just when I got so bored with all the rap music and I was only listening to the 90s stuff, and I thought like that's it, like I'm never going to get interested in new rap music. And he was one of those artists besides Odyssey obviously and some other guys, but like when he released his first bigger albums and also even before the big albums, the album called Section 80, I got interested in rap music again. And yeah, he's been like one of my biggest new influences.
Sure.
So I would love to produce his album.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully in the future hearing that Misha and Kendrick.
I'm throwing
Lamar.
that wish to a universe.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah. Fingers crossed on that one. Yeah, I think mine would also be Kendrick Lamar. So you've got competition.
Really? Okay, let's start today.
Yeah.
Let's see who comes up with a better album.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Whereabouts can people find you on socials?
Probably Instagram. I'm on TikTok as well, but I still don't get the platform at all. Like,
Yeah.
I know it's the platform where people discover most of the new music today, but I'm still more Instagram guy.
Sure.
So on Instagram you can search Misha Beats, and you should be able to find me over there.
Sure. So, and then also everyone go and check out all of your extensive back catalogue on your favorite streaming platforms. And also you can still grab a copy of your album Nocturnal on vinyl, right?
Yeah, I still have some copies at home.
Okay.
If somebody is interested in vinyl records, I have the LP and I'm shipping it worldwide. So wherever you are, I'm able to ship it.
Perfect. And yeah, thanks again for joining me. It's been great to chat.
Thanks, man. It was such a pleasure.